Football with friends is fun as hell. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier on a cold Monday edition of FWF here on Orange Bloods Live. Man, so pumped to be here with you guys today as we are going to be going right up to the national championship game. So a bunch of good football action today. Maybe we'll put in some prize picks, all the rest of it. But Cody, in 30 minutes or so, we got some stuff to cram in here. I wasn't in town Friday. Just taking care of family stuff, and there's been the Amari Niblack stuff. I want to talk about that, what things look like at tight end. But as far as the thumbnail on the show and the general overall theme, it has to do with Georgia coming in trying to steal all the recruits. Georgia's going after Dia Bell.
Georgia's going after Dia Bell. Gave him an offer that came up on Orange Bloods today. I think that was a column from Rivals that Kirby had stopped by his school and ended up offering him a scholarship. Not really a shocker, I'll be honest. Like, they need quarterbacks. Ketch has talked about their quarterback situation. They once had Jared Curtis, the top-ranked quarterback in the 2026 class. He's from, like, Knoxville. He was committed to Georgia till October and decommitted. And he's been, like, to North Carolina, to South Carolina. He's been to all these schools around there, but no longer committed to Georgia. So they got a quarterback thing to figure out. Of course, lost Carson Beck. They got Stockton and Jaden Rashad on the roster, but keeping an eye on Dia Bell, it seems like they're gonna try and make a run at him. We'll see if it pays off.
I saw that they had two 2025 guys. One is
but they're cheeks though. They're not like high end guys.
Yeah, one's named Ryan Montgomery from Ohio. I don't know if he looks like he's like bad. I think he's a 4-star. You know, it's like it's not probably not terrible. As far as the offers, let me just look at what his offer list looked like. So I mean, he had offers from Georgia, Auburn, Florida, Michigan, Miami. So it looks like Ohio State offered him. So it doesn't look like he's. It doesn't look terrible, but then they do have one guy that obviously was a dude that was just a later depth signing. What was his name again?
Hezekiah Millender. He's from Athens.
Yeah, but he was committed to Boise State before and then decommitted late. He's a 3-star. Dia Bell. So what was the report? Is he at least saying he's still 100% locked in, but he says he's locked in, but he's not closing the door on anything right now? I don't really love hearing it coming from Georgia, knowing, Georgia has a decent recruiting pitch against Texas right now, especially for a out-of-state guy from that part of the world, and especially when you look at just the state of the depth chart.
Yeah, so Jason just posted his 3-2-1. Y'all should go check that out. He literally just posted it 60 seconds ago. He has a tweet in here from Dia Bell. We went and visited him on the 16th, so literally just 4 days ago. Jason's post says, Dia Bell remains locked in with Texas, but other schools aren't going away. That's the header of his post. He said, I keep my doors open because anything can happen, and I still have a whole year before signing. That was the one of the first paragraphs that Dia wrote in response to Jason. So that's kind of where it stands. It's you can't, and I'll put it this way: in his shoes, when you're staring down the chute of Arch playing quarterback for 2 years, Trey Owens on the roster, and KJ Lacey at Texas, there's not exactly a clear path. So he would be dumb to close the door. Just be like, I'm done. And acknowledging the fact that he probably walks under the, today, if you cannot transfer out, if that was not a thing, he would likely be sitting for at least 2 years. That's be the projection.
Right. Well, right. Because there's the stuff that, there's the stuff that Ketch reported over the weekend. And it's kind of he's reported before. It feels like Arch Manning's doing this stuff with, he's going by the old, what is that? The old Bill Walsh, 25 college starts minimum.
Well, we've known that.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, is that the old Bill Walsh?
I don't know if it's a Bill Walsh thing, but that's like generally the line that everyone looks to is like around that 22 to 25 number.
Yeah, I think that was Walsh who said we won't take a quarterback with less. And you know what Walsh would do? He would bring in a quarterback like every year. You know what I mean? Just like it was a good way of doing things. And I think that he's such an old school family. They probably still adhere to some of those kind of older school principles about what really means most in the evaluation. And so if that's the case, Arch is going to play for 2 years at Texas. So that would be 2025, 2026. 2026 would be the year Diabell gets here. Then I would assume
It'd be a competition.
Would it be a competition between KJ Lacey and Trey if he's still around?
If Trey's here, if Trey's at Texas at that point, Trey's a senior, right? And so he get
so we're talking the fall of 2026. So Trey's gonna be a redshirt freshman, so he'd be a sophomore in
sophomore next, or so he's a sophomore. Wait, yeah, he'll be a redshirt freshman this coming year.
Okay,
2025. He'll be a redshirt sophomore in 2026. He'll be a redshirt junior when Arch is gone. So it'll be his redshirt junior season. Lacey will be a year behind him. Diabell will be a year behind him. That'll be the competition. So you could potentially get 2 years of Owens too, hypothetically, unless he was like pro ready and had one good season and it was it.
Yeah.
So I mean, that's a long barrel to look down.
Yeah, man. So I mean, it's just it's. And they're trying to. Wasn't there something about did Javion Osborne go to their junior day, or did he go to a different one?
That was in my column. Javion Osborne was there this last weekend, as was Tyler Atkinson, the linebacker. Tyler Atkinson's at least from Grayson, Georgia. He's a top 15 kid in the country, though. And he'd been to Texas. He was at Texas back in April. But when he was asked about his visit this weekend at their junior day, he said, Auburn, Ohio State, Georgia. Those were his schools he mentioned. Javion Osborne was also there. He took his first ever visit to Athens. He's the number 75 overall player in 2026. He's our favorite running back. He said it was great. I see why Georgia's Georgia and who they are physically. They out-punk everyone.
Gosh.
It's their way. It's the way they are mentally. It's the way they're mentally built and set around there. Osborne said it's a high standard and they don't lower it for nobody. And that's what makes me fall in love with the place. Osborne's first visit to Georgia has established the Dogs as a major factor in his recruitment, along with Michigan, Texas, and others moving forward. He quotes, "They are most definitely a big factor. I can't wait to get back up there."
Oh, don't steal all the recruits.
So that was the header of my post, for those that saw it, was, is Texas losing ground on 2 2026 targets? And I caught a lot of crap in the comments. Are like, oh, he's piss pants, low in the mod ranking. I was like, just scroll down to the Georgia notes, man. It's pretty self-explanatory of what it is. I mean, we love Osborne, and Atkinson's is a high-end linebacker, up in the Pettijohn conversation.
You probably did you spell it out at the end of your Georgia section, saying like in the end it looks like Texas. In the end, it looks like Georgia could be coming after 2 super important Texas recruits here.
No, I don't do that, Alex. What I do is I will draw the nuggets. This is just my style. I'll leave you the nuggets. I'll put them in there, and it's up to you to find them. And I literally in this write-up on Georgia, within my behind the enemy line stuff, which is like the bulk of the whole column is based around the behind the enemy line stuff, right? So junior day, and then I put all bold note. Texas was not mentioned. Atkinson was at last in Austin in April, according to Rivals.com player page. Osborne's first visit to Georgia has established the Dogs as a major factor in the recruitment, along with Michigan, Texas in bold and orange, and others moving forward. So if you read both of those write-ups that I literally just read to you, you would take that as, okay.
Hold on. So where's Atkinson from again?
He's from Grayson, Georgia.
Okay. But
it shouldn't be like, Texas went into Georgia and got Justice Terry, got Zealous Hicks. Like, it's not like a scary thing. It's just more so about, and this is the thing that people were commenting. They're like, I'm not worried. I'm going to pee my pants now because I know how the recruiting works at Texas. And I'm like, I get it. Like, I get that October, November, December is when you really need to start peeking your head out of the ground. But the point here is that there's a few situations where you don't really want to get behind the 8 ball. I don't want to get behind the 8 ball on a kid that I love, especially if a kid's from Texas in Osborne.
Yeah, well,
Georgia, where this kid commits to Georgia early, and then I gotta pull him back. Then you get into an NIL deal. Then you get into an NIL battle. I feel, and that I just like, to me, the overarching thought was more so, I just don't want to deal with getting behind 8 ball against Georgia, who is a de facto top 5 recruiting opponent for the next 5 years. A&M, Oklahoma, Ohio State, Georgia. Like, I don't want, and Georgia's the best of those, not to.
Well, it depends. It depends on certain factors with the player. Like sometimes in Texas, if it's in Dallas, like OU's generally going to be generally going to be a factor. A&M can be a factor too. Like if they want to kind of stay, sometimes guys kind of do want to stay at least regionally close to home as far as just pulling out Texas guys. But it feels like Ohio State's right there just as dangerous as any of them. We've just seen over.
They got Sanchez, Pettijohn.
Yeah, dude. Well, the whole Sanchez thing is just unbelievable. They got some good players out of Texas, and had the chance to get even more. It's just, but yeah, Pettijohn and Sanchez. That's pulling out it's pulling out like a big part of the heart of the defensive talent that Texas had in state this year. People are asking in the chat if we want Ohio State or Notre Dame to win. Do you have thoughts on this? I don't want to talk too much about it because people are going to watch this tomorrow and they're already going to know what happened.
Yeah, they know the game was tonight. It's going to be, we're going to head out early a little bit, but and they got their first 10 minutes of Diabell and Georgia and Texas talk. But I think in the end, I want to see Marcus Freeman. That's the one piece in this whole thing I think I'd like to see be successful. I don't have any part of Ohio State that I want to see be successful. I want to kind of see Marcus Freeman win, and I also kind of want to see Jeremiah Love have a good game. I want to see this kid have another nice run. I want to see him, slay the dragon. I'd love to see Michigan or Ohio State have that loss against Michigan seem like they're now like on the roller coaster all the way to the top and then just fall off the edge. I would love to see him fall right back down. This is a game that you hypothetically walk in if you're Ohio State and you're like touchdown favorite plus. I mean, was it 8.5 now? Touchdown plus.
Is it? Do you think there's any way it's better for Texas if Ohio State wins? No. Not even narrative wise.
No. I mean, it doesn't really matter. I mean, Texas. No, because you don't get like a third place trophy. The only thing that nothing helps you other than the fact that at the beginning of next year, it's probably going to be 1 versus 2 or 2 versus 3, regardless how you spin it. And secondly, if they win a championship, it makes recruiting harder. And they're already in your backyard. You don't need to be in your backyard anymore. They have a title versus having a runner up. It's a little bit. I mean, that's a little bit different.
Looks like we got a compliment in the chat here from Jeremy Allen saying that
Thank you, Jeremy Allen, for not understanding
saying that we did a good job getting his attention. So while we have Jeremy Allen in here, why don't we talk about Texas beef traders? You guys have to go over there. I'm going to eat Texas beef traders for dinner tonight. Now, whether it's I got some cubed Piedmontese stew meat that I got out that I'm either going to take and like make with some spaghetti. I didn't mean to get stew meat in all fairness. I meant to get, ground beef, but I couldn't tell the difference. So I'm stuck with the stew meat, but I think it could be good to like get that stuff soft and put it in with spaghetti and make spaghetti with the Piedmontese stew meat. So we'll see how that goes. I also took out this other one called the Terrace Major. Have you heard of that one, Cody? That's the great thing about Texas beef traders. You go in there and Darren's like, dude, you got to try this cut. Apparently it's like a petite, it's a weird cut from one side of the fillet, but it's like big, but it's called the petite one because it's like thin. So if I can brave the cold and go out and do that, I'll be doing that tonight. But Texas beef traders always so good, always delicious. Make sure to go check them out right there in the heart of Lakeway. Tell them that we sent you. We know that a bunch of you have gone in, but I don't understand why everyone's not going. You get 10% off, and Darren will just bring it to your house. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. Make sure and go check them out. All right.
What's the temperature down there?
It got down to like 22 last night. I
Pretty
mean,
cool.
we're having to run faucets and stuff
They're
starting.
they're doing not to get on this topic or anything, but they're doing A and B teams for the hospital because they're closing all of the bridges tomorrow night because they're
No,
anticipating frozen weather. I've never heard of this in my life that they close the bridges so nobody can access downtown, which is wild.
is your wife's probably B team at this point, right?
She's
Because she's so new.
Well, she's B team, yeah. So A team has to actually go in there tomorrow. So she works tomorrow until 5 p.m. A team comes in at 5 p.m. tomorrow, and they have to stay overnight at the hospital at least on Tuesday night, or at least on Tuesday night, and then they have to work all day to Wednesday, and then she comes in potentially when the bridge reopens. So she actually kind of gets the soft handy. She gets to stay home.
And she could probably drink some booze and stuff, unlike usual, because she's not on call. There's
Correct.
no way she can go in, so she can have a martini or something
Yeah,
tonight.
they straight up have 3 bridges to access downtown. All of them closed. It's like I've never. And again, we're not even supposed to like maybe get an inch of snow. And I'm just like I can't rationalize that in my head.
Do you, can we talk about Amari Niblack?
Please.
Because is this just like what we've talked about with the old Michael Lombardi saying? And it's so weird now. We're talking about we're gonna keep referencing Michael Lombardi because it's been like a curriculum for us as far as learning about team building and reading his books and all this stuff like that, right? And now he's in some ways like a competitor to Texas. He's going after the recruits too. Now that he's at North Carolina, it's just wild to me that Lombardi's in the college football scene now. But as far as what he'd always said, we've always said it during this transfer time. It's like you can't overpay for good. You can't overpay for pretty good. You always overpay for great, right? And I guess whenever I think about Niblack getting in the transfer portal, and that was something where I had to go. I was going down to visit my mom in the hospital and stuff. So I was like, I was out of it at the end of last week, starting basically on Thursday, and I got back and went, hold on, Amari Niblack transferred to Texas A&M. I'm like, when? It just went to show how busy I didn't even know. You know what I mean? So like to hear. So from your whenever that went down, what was the discussion? Were people talking about him? Like, was that even a thought that A&M would be in the picture here? And then the second part of this is clearly what does Texas need to do at tight end now? Because that he was the immediate answer.
Yeah. So unpack it. It happened like early Friday that it was announced that he was going in. Which is something we talked about. Obviously, on Wednesday night was kind of the cutoff, but that was a cutoff to declare your name. The school has 40 hours to put you in, sort of, I guess, like as a holding over time to see if they can have a conversation. Basically, what Kutch said was he doesn't know the number that Niblack was given, but the way he looked at it was, if you're hypothetically $300,000 into a kid and you didn't really get a lot, and he's coming back to you expecting the same or touch more because he's now in a spot, and you're like, well, we didn't really get what we expected out of you. If you were going to hit, you would have hit this year. We would have gotten something out of you. Do we really want to do we want to walk away being $300,000 out, or do we want to potentially put another 300 or 400 into you and then be $600,000 or $700,000 out in this sitting, or do we potentially just let you walk and then go and add somebody else in the spring window, utilize that money somewhere else, and just roll with Spencer Shannon / Jordan Washington, hope something like that kicks through. That's kind of the thought process there. When I did the show on Friday, I added tight end to one of the positions I thought of need. I had offensive line, whether it's guard or tackle, defensive tackle, a receiver or a tight end, a running back, of kind of the main focus there. I think tight end I think it's of interest, but I'm not sure it's top of the line. I mean, I think you innately, depending on how the maturation process has gone for Will Randall, we don't exactly know that. He does have the established connection with Arch, though, right? Spencer Shannon, 6'7", 250, 60 pounds.
That connection with Arch it's now we're 3 years out from.
But what about practice, though?
I don't think that Arch throws him much in practice.
Okay, well, and then you have the Jordan Washington factor where we saw him have a big spring last year. It's like, I think that there's potential there. And again, a year ago, and some people in Orange Bloods were even bringing up Nick Townsend. They're like, Nick Townsend in year one. I was like, well, first off, I don't know about that quite yet. But I think my thought here would be a year ago, I remember going into spring practices was like, all right, what's not, Niblack was injured at the time. Washington had a good spring. Nobody really knew that Gunnar Helm was going to be Gunnar Helm. I think there's a lot of time. And
Jack Becta did whenever he went and signed him. Just, I mean, talk about what an awesome signing that was to get that dude before the senior break. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, he's a.
Oh, you're talking about agent?
Yeah, he's a good talent. He's a sharp talent evaluator, man. But anyway.
No, so I mean, that was kind of the point, is that I think that we're probably in a fine spot analyzing this tight end position, because there's 5 people there. 2 are true freshmen, 2 are redshirt sophomores, and then you have Jordan Washington, potentially the best of the 5, is a redshirt freshman with a whole year under his belt behind Gunnar Helm, and he already looked good last spring, the last time we saw him. So I'm not sure it's a bad spot to be in.
It's not the worst spot, but it's kind of bad now. And I wonder how much Amari Niblack wanted. I wonder how much he wanted. I think it's cool that I think it's cool that Sark and the staff and Banks and them can just say, "No, man, no, we're not going to pay for we're not going to pay for this." And I think that whether it's your point or Catch's point, I'm not sure. As you were explaining it, saying if we were gonna get something, you would have beaten out Juan Davis this year. You know what I mean? You would have beaten out Juan Davis. Now there are things that it would have been impossible to beat out Gunnar Helm. He's going to be like he's probably going to be like the top. We've talked it over. Tight end 4, tight end 5 in this class. What he was able to do, and also just the fact that he just had the all around skill set. The fact that it wasn't until this year that we saw him in the real receiving role. We'd only seen him in an inline role where he was just a really good run blocker and all this stuff. And then they talked about Juan Davis, who what they really love about him, and we've talked about the concept before about the split zone stuff and the duo stuff and the zone slice that they love, where they bring him across. They bring him counter to the zone run lanes, and they have them clear out that backside, in man on the line, and he just comes down and he puts a hat on those guys and he drills them every single time. And so Niblack probably wasn't as good in that dimension as Juan Davis, because it wasn't like Juan Davis was used as any kind of real receiving threat. But you look at these guys and you're like, all right, so Gunnar Helm last year played 87% of snaps on the season. Juan Davis played 35% of snaps. Amari Niblack, how many snaps do you think Amari Niblack even played last year, Cody? It was 84 snaps. Now guess how many Spencer Shannon and Jordan Washington each played. 84 snaps was good to be basically 10% of total team snaps. How many do you think Spencer Shannon?
I was gonna guess 108, so I'd have been wrong. Spencer Shannon and Washington 36.
Basically, if you took the average of the two, that would be right. Spencer Shannon actually played more snaps than Jordan Washington. Spencer Shannon played 53 snaps. He played 13 versus Florida. So he got in during blowouts, right? 15 versus CSU, 4 versus UTSA, 21 versus ULM, 13 versus Florida. So he got in and he played in 1, 2,
so that's your leader in the club.
3, 4 games. Jordan Washington played 27 snaps on the season, so only 3% of team snaps. He played in 9 snaps versus CSU, 4 snaps versus UTSA, 14 versus ULM, but he did not get in versus UF. And I don't know if at some point during the season he might have suffered any kind of setback or injury that might have kept him out. But it feels to me like he's a better prospect than Spencer Shannon. But Spencer Shannon did play more than he did last year. And now, we're talking about that's tight end. Is Spencer Shannon tight end 1 after 53 snaps last season?
I mean, what else do you got? I mean, I
That's
think
a
it's
problem.
Washington and Shannon heading into spring camp.
Yeah, it's a little bit of a
I don't
problem.
think you can afford to. Maybe you can afford it. I don't think you should go out and
Where did the Purdue guy end up going?
Ohio State.
Golly.
That
Does
would
he
look.
even know who their quarterback's going to be next year?
Huh?
Does he even know who the quarterback's going to be next year?
No. But I mean, they have guys in the roster. It's but I don't. I mean, I don't. They don't know. Maybe they do, but not today.
Gosh. Can't believe almost, doesn't look like, dude, no one's watching today on YouTube. But there's like over 700 people watching between YouTube and X. So thanks to everybody for being here. Again, most of our YouTube stuff comes in on the next day, but we can't thank you guys enough for being here. And of course, whenever we talk about being here and being in the Specs chat line, we always have to remind you guys that Specs is an awesome sponsor here at Football with Friends.
No matter what you're needing, Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers, to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets.
Oh, what is this? You're showing it. I had some I did have some downtime this weekend, but I was just sitting around and stuff and do a bunch of hurry up and wait kind of business. And I made this gosh, that thing's got 1.8 million views. I think it's only because I think that's so I made a tweet thread last night on X where I went and asked AI to make each head coach or to make actors play SEC head coaches, and I kind of tried to think about actors that sort of looked like these dudes, and like AI made them for me. And Lane Kiffin ended up quote tweeting it, man. So I didn't think that was going to happen. So there's Justin Timberlake as Lane Kiffin, thanks to Grok. There's Gyllenhaal as Sark.
This is the best.
That was the one that Lane Kiffin retweeted. And look, Jonah Hill is not perfect as Jeff Lebby, but
it's pretty funny though.
I had to tell AI to give him just disgusting unkempt facial hair. I've always thought that Steve Carell looks like, or Elijah Drinkwitz looks like Steve Carell. I couldn't believe how good this Adam Sandler one as Hugh Freeze turned out.
This one's pretty. I thought this was the best, the most spot on one.
It's just because it actually kind of looks like him. It looks like Sandler actually kind of tried to kind of look like him for the part.
This one, I don't know. This one, Tom Cruise looks a little young here.
Yeah, it's probably Tom Cruise as Venables. This is the next one's good. Ron Swanson as Kirby Smart.
These are just awesome, dude.
Yeah, dude. This one's weird because it doesn't really look that much like Pratt or Napier, so I'm not sure if it.
Somebody in the comments said it was a Pratt and somebody else. If I clicked on the comments, it would go because you have a million comments. But somebody said it looked like Pratt plus.
Yeah.
Somebody
I was just letting the AI do its thing with Jack Black as Mark. So I told him you got to give Jack Black that really kind of thin and gray hair.
Grumpy.
Wahlberg is Shane Beamer.
That's also really strong, dude. That's also like Beamer being the young buck in shape. High energy. Wahlberg is just like.
I loved what they did with Tom Hanks, and I said you have to make his hair like blonde and really just thin. So that's the good one. My favorites were. This
is the best one.
Oh yeah, Farley is Pittman. Yeah, it definitely kind of looks like him. Scroll down to Elko. That was my favorite. So there's Jim Carrey as Clark Lee. Will Ferrell as Brian Kelly's pretty strong, I think. And then this one, dude.
This is a legendary picture. Like the angle that they get this at.
The Talladega Nights dude is as Elko. It's just, no. So that's what you get for spending 30 minutes doing some stupid exercise. I'm like, well, I might as well. I was just gonna put them up on the show.
You texted me and you were like, dude, look what I did. And I was like, oh my God.
Looks like somebody's saying I messed some stuff up as usual, but yeah, man, that was a fun time. So, all right, we got the game kicking off, Cody. Any thoughts about the any thoughts about it? Would be an awesome movie, or like just a Netflix series,
Could
right?
you imagine if they shot like a season of like, some fugazi football league that was like replica made after the SEC, and it was all the same colors, and it was like, the Louisiana, Bengals, and it was like the Will Ferrell was the coach, and they did
Yeah.
that, but it was like a complete spinoff of the actual SEC. That would be all glorious if they used all of those guys.
Oh, dude, it would certainly help get us through the off season. I mean, that would be an awesome thing. Just like call it like the league down south or something like that. It's like, yeah. All right. So game tonight. Any prize picks that people can use tomorrow whenever they're watching the show?
Yeah, I mean, people for tomorrow this isn't gonna help them at all. But prize picks for tonight, the ones I got was, you get your free Will Howard one still available for 11 more minutes if you're listening here live on Monday night. Anias Williams, 2.5 receptions. I took that one.
That's a Red Devil.
Yep, and then JTT on the edge for Ohio State, half a sack.
Okay.
Jack Sawyer, half a sack.
Both of them half a sack.
Yeah, they're both at half sack. JTT, and then Riley Leonard, I think his rushing is like 37.5. Yeah, I like the over, but if they get stacked 3-4 times, I think that number comes down.
I took a 4. I took 4. I took Will Howard freebie. I took Scott the tight end. I forgot what his receiving yards over was. I think it's like 18.5. I took, because I've always loved that guy, and it feels like he's been on a little bit of a run these last couple of weeks. With I took the kicker for Notre Dame, Mitch Jeter for over 6 kicking points, and then I took Chris Mitchell, the Notre Dame wide receiver. It feels like roulette with those guys, but they have him at 4.5 receiving yards over under, and he's done that every single game this entire season. So
really,
yeah, I just want that guy to get a catch. The last 2 games, he's had 1 catch for 11, 1 catch for 7. So he's obviously not trending in the right way, but he's had 2, 3, 1 catches at least every single game. So I did get that one on. So those will be mine. Now, you can email us, fwfemails@gmail.com. You can find us on X at Alex Dunlap NFL, at Cody Carpentier. We're here every night from 6 to 7, getting out early tonight because viewership will indeed fall off a cliff once the college football national championship kicks off here in a minute. Texas isn't in it, but Texas did make it to the semifinals. Number 1 recruiting class in the country for 2025, and a lot to look forward to here as we start getting into 2026, spring football, spring transfer window, everything going on, man. It's going to keep us busy, and it's going to hopefully keep you guys informed and entertained here on Orange Buzz Live and here on Football with Friends. If you could please like the show, subscribe to the channel, and most importantly, just come back, right? Every night, 6 p.m., we're going to be here with you. We have Senior Bowl stuff we're going to be previewing, Shrine Bowl stuff that we'll be previewing this week, NFL Draft, SEC, getting quote tweeted by Kiffin. All the rest of it, man. Off-season hijinks. We love you guys, man. Thank you all so much for being here. God bless you. For Cody, I'm Alex. We're done.